I put the video of Countryfile on Facebook and lots of people have watched it and loads of comments, so I thought maybe it's a Saturday people might be bored. It's like a bonus video, so it's not today's video, it's just the content of Countryfile last Sunday if you want to watch it.
When a heat wave strikes, food production can be hit hard. Right across the UK, farmers have been battling extreme weather with their livelihoods and our food security on the line. Here's Adam.
We all hope for the ideal harvest, when months of hard work pay off with golden fields and bountiful fruit and veg. But recently, well, it's been challenging. Record temperatures, low rainfall, and a drought across large parts of England and Wales means some farmers are facing really tough harvests.
We haven't had rain for weeks. We run on a borehole here, and if it were ever to run dry, then we're in real stuck.
So how cracked the ground is, I can get my hand all the way down there.
We have a lovely herd of native red poll cows. There's very, very little for these animals to be grazing on.
The second crop of spinach, they're just complete dust.
It's so dry, the pods just shatter. If I touch that, can you see the pods just crumble?
And if that wasn't enough, there have been combines bursting into flames and crop fires. Ollie Harrison owns a 1,400-acre cereal farm in Merseyside. In July, temperatures here topped 35.5 degrees Celsius, the highest on record.
We need to get all that straw in, another 2 trailers, because as soon as we finish this field a week, we're going back into barley.
We last saw Ollie in April. Back then, farmers told us fertiliser prices had tripled, so Ollie needed a bumper harvest to be able to make a profit. What he wasn't betting on was a heat wave, triggering this farm's earliest harvest.
So it's great to see the combines rolling. How's harvest going for you this year?
Disappointing. We just didn't get the rain in June when we needed it. The dry weather just hasn't helped. The yields aren't what we were hoping for. We had high hopes in the spring, things looked well, but the weather didn't play ball for us.
I noticed there's a spilt head of grain here. What is it looking like?
Bit pinched, not quite filled as good as it could have done. Just not had the moisture for them to fill properly.
That's all about the weather.
Completely.
Be the best farmer in the world, but you can't beat the weather.
No.
What sort of hit have you taken financially, do you think?
Yields are down financially, £200 to £250 an acre of yield, just not there.
Across how many acres?
About 1,200 acres.
Wow, so over £250,000 gone.
Yeah. And oilseed rape yields have been lower, and, you know, that's £600 or £800 a tonne, depending on when you sell it.
And as a business, can you survive?
We've got a lot of diversification on this farm. If we have a bad harvest, we can carry ourselves to the next. But it is extremely difficult, and you do feel like you're throwing good money after bad just to stay farming. The average farmer on average land, it's difficult, very difficult, and it's just a matter of time of whether they just keep going or not.
Healthy crops rely on plenty of rain and sunshine, but earlier this year they got off to a bad start. Remember these scenes from March on Countryfile? And this was Ollie's field last November.
Plant obviously responds to what's around it, and, you know, take this one for instance. If we get a wet winter, we don't get very long roots. If we don't get long roots and then we get it dry, it can't find moisture.
And so you get a wet winter, the roots don't go very deep, and then you get a dry spell, and they haven't got anywhere to scavenge.
That's it, they've run out of energy and they die.
With these extremes, is that affecting farmers and you in general more, do you think?
Definitely. I mean, you know, we've really got to start looking at maybe some of the crops that are grown in Europe to see if we can, there's something better that can suit our climate, because these hotter temperatures starting to be the new normal.
The losses from this harvest are not just being felt by Ollie. I'm catching up with Tom Bradshaw, the National Farmers Union Deputy President. He also engages with the government on drought and food security on behalf of farmers.
Tom, thank you very much for joining us today. Can you explain what you're hearing from farmers around the country with regard to these extreme weather conditions?
Yeah, there's not a sector that's not affected, Adam. You know, whether it's grass growth out in the fields, everyone will have seen the countrysides turn brown, and all our livestock farmers are reliant on that grass to feed their animals through the summer months. So they've had to start feeding the winter feed that they'd normally be feeding out during the autumn and winter months. And then you move into the irrigated sector where we're growing our vegetables. If you look at onions, potatoes, carrots, parsnips, all reliant on irrigation to grow those crops. And they're now running out of water, and that's obviously creating a huge issue on farm.
So what support is available at the moment to help with the water problems for farmers? You know, what are the Environment Agency offering?
Well, so the government have introduced some water infrastructure grants, and that's basically trying to co-fund reservoirs on farms. So they'll give you grants to help you with the cost of building that water storage. And then I think we also, as a country, need to start thinking about water strategically to make sure that we really value the importance of water and that we invest in our water infrastructure. We need to think about how we can store that water, how we can transport it in our rivers and our drainage boards, and then utilise it during the summer months.
And what about going forward then? Do you think agricultural production systems are going to have to change?
I think we will have to look at the crops that we're growing as well, and whether we'll be growing maize for harvest, for grain maize and sunflowers and things like that in the future as our climate changes. And it's now, how do we adapt our systems? How do we make sure that our food production systems are resilient so that we continue to produce the food that everybody needs?
Ollie's already ahead of the game.
These look beautiful. Yeah, this is what 11 acres of sunflowers looks like.
And are you growing them to harvest?
So I've grown them a few years running now, and I thought, well, this year, we're going to try and harvest them properly for the oil.
And are you trying new crops then because of the changing climate?
Definitely. So the first point of call is further south, some of them southern countries within Europe. If we're going to get their weather patterns, we should be growing what they can grow.
And it's not just new crops Ollie's experimenting with. He's adapting his farming practices too.
So the first crop of winter barley was droughted out. It didn't yield very well. We harvested the earliest we've ever harvested it in the end of June. And I thought, well, we've got an opportunity here. We'll try and drill another crop and see if we can harvest it.
So a winter barley crop and a spring barley, now summer barley crop, in 1 year?
Yeah, double cropping, just like they do in South America.
Incredible.
If you look at this piece here now, it's already got the whiskers coming out and a seed head forming within the straw. It's doing
Yeah,
well.
There's the seed heads coming through. So it's just got a flower and set seed, and then you're onto something.
Yeah. We've just got to look for opportunities within it, like the fact that we might be able to grow 2 crops.
Even though rain has arrived in some parts of the country, experts think the warm weather could continue until October. Successful harvests will depend upon resilient farmers and new ideas, because without them, we risk our food security.
You can soon get held to ransom if you've not got food. If we're not growing it ourselves, we've got to import it. It doesn't magically appear from somewhere else. We basically just buy it off someone. We need to look outside the box. We need to try new ideas. If you stand still, you get overtaken. We need to just push on with what we're doing with our own agriculture, and it should be a priority. Hope you enjoyed that. I thought the drone footage looked amazing, especially when you can see the lighthouse at the end, and the field looks so big as well. So anyway, stay tuned later on for today's video.